They called him the Diesel.
Crank up that diesel. Let's go.
He leaned across the table and he goes, "You need to get me back there. I'll make you famous."
And to Riggins, good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone. He's gone.
It's Riggo the Diesel.
Welcome to Riggo the Diesel. I am that guy, John Riggins. Glad to have you with me today, along with Larry Michael. Larry, how you doing? Voice of your Washington Redskins.
Doing good here in the house, taking care of business.
Unfortunately, Larry, we had to do a little extra, what do you call it, podcast yesterday.
Bonus, I guess, yeah.
Passing of Bobby Mitchell, and now it's been, I guess, close to 24 hours, at least since his death was announced. Something I thought about, and it kind of coincides with, where we're going to take this, is that is there any more information about Bobby's passing as far as arrangements and what's going to happen, coming up? Because, you read about nowadays, I think that, at least in New York and stuff like that, funerals, I think, are all backed up. What's going to happen? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. Like I said on our conversation last night, and that's out there. Actually, that's going to be aired on Redskins Nation tonight. And thank you for doing that. I'm sure it's on the website and other places too, our conversation from last night upon learning that Bobby had passed. I don't know. I know that he had been ill for a while. I don't know necessarily this was a huge shock to his family. I don't know. I had seen him back in December, and he was convalescing from a very serious medical situation. And he was in good spirits. But like you say, and even there, I don't think there's many public funerals happening right now, to be honest with you. I thought I saw a story in the paper. Pardon?
I said, you say you don't think there are. I wouldn't think so.
I don't think there are. There's a lady who goes to my church who passed away, and because of COVID-19, very, very well-known lady. She was 91. It's a private funeral. Ordinarily, there'd be a few hundred people there, but because of the circumstance. So we'll find out. If we get any information on Bobby's arrangements, we will certainly pass it on Redskins Nation, on the website too. And today there's a lot of eulogies for him. I mean, it's great to see the old highlights of Bobby, and he getting recognized the way he deserves it.
I agree with that. I do agree with that, Larry. That I think he was one of those guys that at a time in our nation's history, that he became the first black athlete for the Washington Redskins, and that was some milestone. And I think that there was a lot of crosses to bear by being that very person. And, as I said last night, that, Bobby did it with a smile on his face the whole time. He did it with dignity, and he did it with class. And I'm sure that he was the recipient of, some untoward comments, to say the least, when he first broke into the lineup here in D.C.
Yeah, and I got a text from a buddy of mine last night, and he hoped that circumstances on the globe, on the world right now, don't cause Bobby not to get the recognition he deserves, but he's going to get it, and we're going to be giving it to him all year, and this week especially. I think you can see from some of what you see on TV today that everybody loved Bobby Mitchell, and rightfully so, which takes us to something that Bobby loved. Maybe didn't like the offseason conditioning program, but he loved football, and today would have been the start of the offseason program. Very odd. And John, you probably, in this day and age, you probably would have eschewed the offseason program. You probably would not have attended. I know a lot of guys don't. Adrian Peterson hasn't in a couple of years. But, guys don't do it. But today would have been the day they report back, and look where we're at now. Everybody's at home.
Well, and we discussed this a while back, like a week or two ago. My opinion, and I'm a little bit of a what do you call it, a guy that paints outside the box, I guess, or whatever. That, to me, I think that there may be a benefit to the players this year because that they don't have, not that it's forced, but the fact that they come in, they work out, the lifting that goes on. I don't know. In other words, I think there is going to be some serendipity associated with this. And yeah, you're right. I probably wouldn't have at the time. I mean, I was living out in Kansas, and then when I moved back here after the Super Bowl 17, I'm trying to think back then, but I don't think I really did anything. We'd have our what do you call it, not an OTA, but you had your mini camp, and then, you know, everything you kind of dispersed until August. And the thing there is once again, you got the old dog and new tricks type of deal. When I first came into the league, nobody saw anybody till, you know, it was like you left in December. Playing for the Jets, you always left in December. You never left in January. And you'd come back in July, and that was it. So you were on your own that whole 6 months you were off. And there was really no facility to go to, because the Jets at that time, they worked at, and I don't even know where their offices were. I think they're in downtown New York. There was no place to go to work out in the off season. So, you know, when you get it, you did that for 5 years. And it was the same thing for the first couple of years with George Allen and even with Jack Pardee. And then when Joe came, you know, he was the one that kind of more or less wanted guys in the off season to come in and lift and do all that, which I did out in Lawrence, Kansas, where I was living. And when I got here, I don't know, I must have went in and worked out with Dan during the off season a little bit, but certainly not at the level that they go today. And it's just another thing that, you know, this new situation we find ourselves in, which is so unique. I mean, we talked a little bit about it last week, but for me, I keep scratching my head because we're literally living a movie. You can't, you know, as they say, you can't make this up, what we're going through right now. And this week in particular, I forget, I think it's been what now? It's been at least 19, 20 days since the country's been in lockdown. It's been somewhere around that. And myself, I mean, I've been very cautious whenever I go out, and I didn't think at the time, I didn't think that it was really, I thought I was protecting myself by wearing a mask and gloves. But you come to find out that you're actually, that's a courtesy to other people, because really, if you have the coronavirus, it holds it in, as opposed to, you know, it can help certainly prevent, but I think it's more of a prophylactic for other people not to catch it if you happen to have it. And the next 2 weeks, they say, this week in particular, I guess, I mean, this is the thing that's so confounding about this, is the information changes constantly as to what the new protocol is. But they say it's going to be pretty grim here for the next week or two.
Say it's reaching its peak in New York and a couple other locations. They have said a lot, and I agree with you. I really don't know exactly what the right information is. There is a lot of conflicted information out there. So I think personally, my family have taken a tack. We're going to do what we're supposed to do, try to stay away from people. I'll wear a mask if I go out, not going out very often. And, you know, obviously working here at home, trying to get all our stuff done, trying to keep our Redskins fans informed, and just trying to hunker down. I guess is the best way of putting it, hunkering down. I haven't gotten fat. I think a lot of people told me they put on weight. To me, I'm almost got this nervous energy every day, not knowing what's going to happen, and just hoping that obviously if this is going to be the rough spot, that's going to mean what's coming after that will not be as rough. So hopefully that's the path it takes, and we can get back to a somewhat normal life. I think it's going to take a very long time. And again, for those of us who are sports lovers, who really, sports is a big part of our lives, it makes you kind of think about what's important in a lot of ways, and what's important is your family and your health, and making sure those around you are healthy and happy. But I still miss my sports. I mean, is it Masters Week? I think it's a beautiful day out here today, John. You're on the other side of the river from me. I'm in Virginia. You're in Maryland. But
it's raining cats and dogs over here.
No, you can't BS me. You're
right,
right?
It's a beautiful day.
Beautiful day. So you go outside, you say, wow, spring is here. It's a beautiful day. But what the heck is going on here? So hopefully things get squared away and people get healthy. And that's the most important thing. Now, as for the sports, you know, I am certainly going through a horrible withdrawal when it comes to my personal entertainment. And yesterday I watched all of football. I didn't happen to see your football life. I know there's a great football life about you. In fact, that's some of the sound bites that Stevie Ketch uses are pulled right out of that show.
Yep.
Chocolate chip. So, but I watched 5 football lives in a row. I saw George Hallis, I saw Al Davis, and I saw Paul Brown. And then my wife said, we got to go eat dinner. So those 3 I watched in a row. Wow. That's good entertainment for somebody like me right now.
Yeah. Where did you pull those off of, by the way? Do you go to the
NFL Network.
With the
NFL Network.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Let's take a little break and come back and keep kicking it around.
Sounds like a winner, whether on the field or in the classroom. The Redskins believe learning should be fun. That's why they've teamed up with youth entrepreneurs to bring their engaging hands-on style of learning to classrooms in the DC metro area. Youth Entrepreneurs curriculum created by educators for educators, meaning it's absolutely free, flexible, and fun. To learn more about Youth Entrepreneurs and how to experience it for yourself, visit getye.org. John?
Well, as everybody knows by now, that if you have an emergency, particularly if it becomes a plumbing emergency, I would recommend that you call O'Connor Plumbing, 1-833-RIGGO-44. They'll do everything. I know that right now, it's certainly that way around our house, that, you have somebody come into your house. It's alarming. But O'Connor Plumbing is doing everything in their power to make sure that they're not putting their employees at risk, and they certainly are not putting any of their clients at risk when their personnel come to the house to fix some emergency problem. So keep that in mind. O'Connor Plumbing, 1-833-RIGGO-44.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand back and watch the Phoenix rise from the ashes.
Stand back. It's Riggo the Diesel.
And let's go back. Just want to touch up on this a little bit because of what we're talking about, the mask and the gloves, that I now realize that I think that if we do have to venture out, that I think we owe it to all of our fellow citizens to wear that mask and wear the gloves, because it's obviously we don't have any idea of how this, the coronavirus, where it's going to hit next, if it's going to come to your house or whatever. And as I said, at the top of the hill here, we've got a little grocery store where I live over here in Cabin John. And they're mandating now that unless you have a mask on and unless you're wearing gloves, you can't enter the store. I don't know if that's, that's going to pick up any speed around here, and then it gets into that problem. Well, if you don't have a mask, you don't have gloves, what do you do? So we're in that situation now where, and what they deem is an essential service. Obviously, food is certainly one of them. Medications are one of them. And I got to believe, Larry, on the lighter side, I think alcohol is still one of the essential services that everybody needs.
For sure. It is for me.
So are you pretty well stocked?
Well, yeah, for the time being, but always got that eye on the reserve and see how many days you might have. But honestly, people have been treating each other very, very nicely. Anybody I've run into, and I've been out a little bit. I took a trip to FedEx Field last week to see the COVID-19 screening site that they've set up, and then obviously going to the grocery store. And I got to tip my hat to all the grocery store workers. Those people, man, I'll tell you what, they're heroes. They have not missed a beat. And yes, they. Now there's paper towels. They've got paper towels and napkins back in the store. I don't know how they did it, but paper towels and napkins are back, and the shelves are stocked. And I just gotta stick with the people that are calling the shots. I'm just here, and right now I'm going to be here until they tell me it's safe to go back out and do what we have to do. And it won't be forever. It won't be forever. So trying to be patient. Yes, there are some, I noticed that automotive stores are open. So that must be essential.
Even though nobody can go anywhere. I've filled a full tank of gas.
I know, at $1 a gallon or whatever it is. But you know what? The other thing is, and these are these stories where, it's kind of nothing compared to what's going on. But down here where I live, there's a little mom and pop place, which is a little restaurant downtown in McLean, and it's been closed since this all happened, and those folks can't afford to be closed for multiple weeks, week after week. And so I guess my daughter called me and said, "Did you hear they're going to start opening for carryout?" And this has been 2 weeks. So my first thought is, I'm going up there, I'm going to buy something from them because they're hurting and I got to eat. So why don't I go do that? And I think that's the way people should be. They should try to help each other out as much as possible. Even though people's tempers are frayed, I've seen it in the grocery store. Some people are really on edge. They got to calm down and relax, and we'll get through this together, everybody together, and stay inside, do what they're saying. And I think they've hammered it home so much that everybody knows you got to wear the mask, you got to stay 6 feet away. You see these lines in stores now, which measures out 6 feet.
Right.
They're doing a lot, and I just hope that as few people get sick as possible, and that life returns to normal as quickly as possible. It won't be quick, but I think the way people feel right now, everybody's in it together.
This gets you into one of those situations from where I'm sitting, Larry, that you go, because this happened, Todd sent over the TCAT sent me some stuff, and I got to reading about the flu pandemic of 1918, and how there was actually like 3 different encounters with that flu, how everybody kind of thought, okay, the coast is clear. They came back out, and all of a sudden it came back on them. And that's something where really, that's where it's almost, because it's so novel what everybody's going through right now. And I think that everybody's anxious and everybody wants to go back to work. Everybody wants to go back and resume their normal activities. It's going to be interesting to see when they actually give everybody the green light, because the last thing, it's like anything else. Think about if you've ever had some kind of an illness and where you went ahead and pushed the envelope a little harder than you should have, and the next thing you know, you regress and you're back and you got to go through it all over again. So I don't know, when they say you can go back out, I don't know how I'm going to react to all that, because at the same time, the coronavirus isn't going to go away. I don't think it's just magically going to evaporate and go off into the ether. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Have to adjust. Everybody's going to have to adjust. And again, when they say the coast is clear, and I think they've been kind of drumming it into everybody's heads, especially the doctors, that you're right. Things are going to slowly go back, but you're always going to know that you have to be careful until there is a vaccine for it. We'll see. It's just too bad that so many people are sick. And I just hope that, as few as people possible get sick, and, everybody can get back to their lives. It's very difficult. And again, we take a break real quick here, but I want to leave on a football note before we break. Still, and the NFL, I think, is doing the right thing. I think the NFL is doing the right thing because they can. You can do a virtual draft. You can do virtual free agency. I don't think anybody got sick because of the way they did free agency. Same thing goes for the draft. Business will continue so that when it is time to get back together, you've done everything you can to be ready to go when that time comes. And I think if everybody kind of uses that, I'm kind of proud of the NFL, the way they're doing it. People rip, and they're really taking their time. We still don't even know how the draft is going to work. I saw a story today. Will the commissioner be at his house, or will he be at a studio? Well, he could be at his house.
Yeah.
I'm at my house. You're at your house.
Well,
right?
You get into that gray area of, are you, no, I don't want to say flouting, but if you're going to go to a public place and do something like this, are you kind of like stepping over the line a little bit when everybody's been requested to stay at home? Because I agree with you. There's no reason why the commissioner, this couldn't all be handled from everybody's homes for the most part. And I believe they've made some inroads with the actual potential draftees, that they're through like Zoom or whatever it may be, they're going to be able to interview them or whatever, and basically put on the NFL show that they do every spring when they have the draft. It looks to me like it's going to go ahead. What you're going to get, we don't know. But as you were saying earlier, the people that are starved for sports, they don't really care probably what it's going to look like. At least it's some information about their favorite teams.
Yeah, I mean, look at what they've done. I mean, you see, biggest story this weekend was the pro wrestling. There was nobody there. But I bet you that drew a lot of ratings. People are going to want to see it. Hey, John, more than ever, it's important to keep your car ready for anything. And at your local Honda dealer service department, you're in safe hands. Safe hands that are expertly trained using only Honda genuine parts. Safe hands that'll take every precaution to keep your car clean and sanitized. Safe hands to follow strict CDC guidelines, working with gloves and covering all commonly touched surfaces with plastic. And best of all, safe hands that'll work on any make or model, because with Honda, you and your car are in safe hands. Contact your local Honda dealer for more information. And did you know the Redskins are sponsored by Coke? That's K-O-C-H, Coke. There's 67,000 U.S. employees make a lot of things that make game day better. Greener turf, they make that. Stronger paper products for tailgating, they make that too. Electric components and TVs and smart devices so you can watch the Redskins anytime, anywhere. Yeah, Coke makes that too. See all that they make for on and off the field at KOCHmakesthat.com.
Hey, I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back.
Who's bored? Who's broke? And who's back?
I wanted to always see the redwoods. I wanted to see the Rocky Mountains. I wanted to see the Painted Desert, the Petrified Forest, the Grand Canyon. That was like the land that I always wanted to go to.
John Riggins.
Larry, let me start with this. Have you heard any information as far as the NFL season itself goes? I mean, as of now, everything's still the dates that they still haven't released a schedule yet, have they?
No, a word came out from the league that the schedule was going to get pushed back. It would have been announced in the middle of April, I think, or maybe even the end of this week. It's been pushed back to no later than May the 9th. And I think that gives them a little bit more time. They have that window anyway, the way they build the schedule. And right now, there probably isn't as much competition for those stadium sites as there might normally be, where teams during the summer might have a conflict with a concert or something else. And I think a lot of things will be determined in the next 30 to 60 days when it comes to any kind of movement. But again, the league is trying to stay on schedule as best they can. I think one of the things you're looking at here, will OTAs take place at the facilities? And right now, those dates are in May. Minicamp is in June. Now, the governor of Virginia has stated that June 12th was going to be the target date at the end of this, which at the time was the furthest out date of any state that I had heard. I do believe Maryland still has an April 24th or 23rd date.
I kind of thought, Larry, that Governor Hogan over here basically is open-ended. That it's in.
It might not be in it. Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to end, so they didn't give you any idea.
So I think what the prudent thing to do would be in terms of football, and if they're going to go ahead with the schedule by May 9th, great. You can kind of make your travel plans. The teams are going to have to make all those plans to be able to play these games. TV networks are going to have to make all the plans to broadcast all the games. You're going to have to make plans for your stadium, depending on where you might be and how that might be unfolding, which I don't think, I'm smart enough to tell you the answer to that. So I think you have enough time here, since it's April the 6th. And I know it sounds really dire right now, and they're telling us this is the worst week coming up. Brace yourself, it's going to be bad. But the calendar is not going to change. So you're going to get into June, July, and then you might have a feel. I mean, some of these other sports, I really don't know what they're going to do. Football, in fact, the way the calendar lays out, it's not a luxury. They do have the ability to wait on the calendar a little bit, see how things shake out over the next couple months. I mean, it's already a different world in about 3 weeks, right? Now, a couple months, how much different will this world look, especially the United States? So we don't have no way of knowing how to predict that. So I think getting the schedule out before May 9th, getting a little bit of a rundown on where you might be traveling, and then figure out, what the future holds.
I guess the best way to say it is it's kind of we're in a wait and see. But as far as any of the events that have already been scheduled, they're still scheduled to go forward when they're supposed to. If in the case, though, that everything keeps getting pushed back, and I guess, there's no OTAs, there's no mini camps, and you have to go to training camp, and it's an abbreviated training camp. I don't know if you want to start the season on time. I guess what I'm saying is it possible for the NFL to push the season back? They certainly can cut the amount of games they could play, because it gets down to the Super Bowl. I'm wondering if the owners get together and they say to themselves, well, the one thing we're not going to do is change the date of the Super Bowl unless some catastrophe happens and everybody's in lockdown in another 9 months or so. So I guess where I'm saying is that gives you the time that's the valuable time that you can't take advantage of now. When you do plug into it, do you think there's a chance that they could have an abbreviated season and that they play the Super Bowl on time, or would they push the Super? Any ideas on that?
I mean, all I would have is my personal ideas and my personal way I'm looking, and that is, I'd love to see them play football. I'd love to see everybody get well. I'd love to see this pandemic really get past the surge that we're talking about, and then try to get back step by step into a normal life. And it's going to be a new normal, as everybody says. So to be able to predict what's going to happen that far in the future, I'm not willing to do that. I do think that I don't say time is on our side, because we still don't know. But if you're sitting here right now, what the league would have been doing right now anyway would have been the draft, and that really isn't changing anything. So I'm going to be an optimist. I'm going to do what they tell me. I'm going to walk the straight and narrow. I'm going to stay hunkered down, and hopefully that'll get us back up and running. Hopefully, we get a full season and everything works out good.
One thing I want to ask you, there was something I think in the Richmond Times talking about how the team, I believe, was going to return money to Richmond, and which made me and I couldn't read the article because I didn't want to take the Richmond time for the next 3 months. So I passed. That's what I thought to ask you. Is the team? Let's say training camps will go off on time. Will they still be returning to Richmond, as far as you know, or are there going to be there new things in the works?
I mean, as far as I know, the team would go to Richmond. I don't know if, right now, I think there's a wait and see attitude for when they might be able to get back to Redskins Park, because again, you've got until June, and you have a lot of different testing ideas that are being tossed around by the TV talking heads. And I think the league would get on top of that. How do you make sure everybody's healthy and all this? And I think there's ways of doing that, and they're going to have to find ways to do that.
Right.
But I saw the story about Richmond. I think it's a resolution between the city and the organization, and both sides feel comfortable with the changes in the way the deal is. So Richmond's been a great home to the Redskins, the state capital of the Commonwealth of Virginia. The Redskins are still located in the state of Virginia. Still a great partnership there with the mayor and with all the folks down there in Richmond. So I'm hoping that we'll book our road trip to Richmond like we have the last 7 years, and we'll get down there and we'll have a good camp. It'll be hot, and players will fight for chances to be on the football team. Ron Rivera, it'll be his first training camp, and I'm just hopeful that that's what's going to happen come July.
Business as usual. Before we go, Larry, I got to tell you, last week we did the show. That night I watched The Tiger King.
Yeah, let's take some extra time. 3 or 4 minutes. Did you watch the whole thing or just a couple?
No, I didn't. I first of all, I watched the first one, and my first thoughts were, Larry's got some issues to watch. So last night, then Lisa Marie, she'd heard me talking about it. So I think it was Saturday night. We watched about, 3/4 of the first one, and then last night we finished watching that, and we watched the second episode. And I got to tell you, it starts to pull you in.
It does.
And then now Todd T-Cat. He already burned through the whole thing. He got in. Yeah. He couldn't stop. So I'm kind of in that same, because I was watching that other thing, Ozark. And we kind of wanted to finish that, but now I've got an open slate here. So I think it very well be. Well, I know by the next time I talk to you, I will have watched the entire thing.
I'm not telling you anything. I'm not telling you anything. You gotta watch it.
It just gets better. You won't believe what you're getting ready to see. So
it does. I will say this. I will say nothing.
Okay. I will let you go with that. Have a great week, Larry, and everybody else, and stay safe, stay inside, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching.
Are uninvited pests ruining your plans? Let PMSI, the pest control partner of the Washington Redskins, handle it for you. Call today for your free inspection, and they'll work around your schedule to provide you the best solution possible to defend your home territory against pests of all kinds, including mold. Visit mypmsi.com for the game plan to control the pests on your home turf. That's mypmsi.com.
Dear customer service, I can always count on Novak. My power is always on. My payments always go through, and Novak actually cares about the community they serve.
Dear Novak, your electric costs are reasonable. Some electricity is from alternative sources, and cost reductions are passed along during the year. Thanks.
Novak, power you can count on.
At Coke, our 67,000 U.S. employees make things that make your game days better, like fertilizer for greener turf and stronger paper products for tailgating. Viewing the game from your couch? Coke also makes the electronic components in TVs and smart devices so you can watch your Redskins victory anywhere. Coke, we make that. See it all at KOCHmakesthat.com. That's CokeMakesThat.com.
If you have atrial fibrillation, you know it can be difficult to treat successfully. Inova Heart and Vascular Institute in Fairfax is a leader in AFib treatment using specialized technology and expertise. This helps to more precisely target and treat rhythm irregularities that others could miss, helping to restore your heartbeat to normal. Give your heart the benefit of care. Visit inovaheart.org/AFib to learn more and to find an Inova physician. Inova, join the future of health.